Welcome, everybody. This is the Just Keep Reaching show, where we are helping you fulfill your full potential in life and in business by sharing stories, tips, and experiences from those who just keep reaching. My name is Joe Rosner, and each week I will bring you incredible guests in order to show you that we all come from different places, but to fulfill our full potential, we must just keep reaching. Welcome back, everybody, to another mini episode of the Just Keep Reaching show I like to call Inside Joe's Mind. So today, I just want to talk about a couple of things. Some of the things that I've learned from having triplets. Now, I can remember when, we were trying to have kids, me and my wife, we had a hard time, trying to have kids. For the longest time, they said it wasn't necessarily going to be possible for us. We tried for a couple of years, different medications, different things like that. And we went through the IVF process and eventually, ended up getting pregnant and realizing that it was going to be with triplets. Well, the first thing is when we found out that we were having triplets, it was kind of a shock, right? Because we were extremely grateful, to be able to have one child. And then all of a sudden, the doctor was doing the ultrasound and he's like, congratulations, you're having twins. And he was starting to, measure heartbeats. And he goes, oh, hang on a second. There's a third one back there. You're having triplets. And I can just remember the look on my wife's face. Like her jaw just instantly dropped. Picture my wife. She's, tiny, at this point, a physique competitor at 5'2", thinking, holy cow, right? So that was the first initial thing. And then, we started, talking to people. We're like, we're having triplets. People started finding out. And the first thing, you're having triplets? Holy cow, that is going to be a tough time. Man, you're going to spend a lot of money on that. Wow, you're going to have to buy a ton of diapers. That's going to be a lot of work. I don't know how you guys are going to do it. I have one kid. I don't know how you guys are going to do it. It's going to be crazy. Or just think about all of the feedings that you're going to have to do. How many times that you're going to have to, wake up. How are you guys going to do that? Right? So it was all of these things. We heard this stuff over and over. And what I realized is, that relates to business. That was all, things, obviously we had some people that were like, oh, congratulations. That's awesome. Because to me and my wife, it was an extreme blessing. Like in the beginning, we didn't think we were going to be able to have kids. And then, we ended up being able to have triplets and we're overjoyed. And with understanding that sometimes when you tell people, in business, about an idea or something that you plan to do or something that's coming, right? The initial instinct from somebody else is like, nah, I don't know, man, that doesn't sound like a good idea. Or, and then they just they instantly start asking questions about it, right? So one thing that I want you to think about, if you're in business and you have an idea and you're trying to move forward with it and this thing sounds great, think about it to yourself for a while. Think about it to yourself. Start maybe coming up with, some sort of plan on how you're going to start moving forward with this idea that you have. Because initially, no matter what, when you mention something to somebody else, they're not going to be naturally as excited about your idea as you are because it's not their idea. So instantly when they're not like, whoa, dude, like that's the best freaking thing I've ever heard. Like, holy shit, right? When they're not like that, you instantly feel like, oh man, maybe this idea isn't that great. Or maybe, maybe you're somebody out there listening to this right now and you're thinking, I've had some of those moments and I should have went through with it. And instead, because I got a reaction that you weren't necessarily expecting, you didn't go through with it. And now you're kind of wishing that you would have made that decision way back when and went through with it. So when you have an idea, think about it to yourself and remember that it's not their job to be as excited about the idea as you are because it's not their idea and they're not going to be, right? So if you know that going into a conversation like that, remember, it's your idea, run with it 100%. Now, that's like, when we were having kids, it was, holy cow, how much is that going to cost? That's going to be a lot of diapers. Man, that's going to be a lot of work. right? Or the new idea. Well, I want to create this thing, and it has this. Well, what happens if this, and what happens if that, right? So the same concept. So having kids made me realize that it's a blessing to us and it's a dream to us. Doesn't mean it's going to be a dream to somebody else. Doesn't mean it's going to be, that exciting to somebody else. And that's okay. You just have to know that going into that situation. Now, one of the other things, that comes up to mind quite a bit is my son is phenomenal. He's, my kids, they're going to be 3 in December, and it's crazy to think because they're not even 3 years old. They know sign language and they're learning all of this stuff. And my son especially, he knows how to work an iPad and, go through all of this different stuff. And I don't mean, like he knows how to press a couple of buttons. I mean, this guy knows how to switch pages, search stuff, type stuff, transfer the volumes different ways, lightness, he knows all like the little things about this iPad. And I'm like, how the heck did he learn how to do this? And I was watching him, and I started watching what he was doing. And what I realized is he's not afraid. He's not afraid to start pressing buttons. He's not afraid to start pressing on stuff. He's not afraid to, mess with something because he doesn't know if it's going to break, or he doesn't already have instilled in him the fear of messing something up because he hasn't gotten that far yet. He doesn't have those limiting thoughts of this could be bad in his mind, right? Whereas in business, in our life right now, there's a lot of things that we hold back from because of fear, because we're scared that, oh man, if I press this one button on this new phone, the thing might blow up right now, right? The thing just might blow up in my hands. Or is this going to erase everything? Is this, how do I do this? So we have this fear around moving forward, but what that does is it actually holds us back. You guys got to remember, no matter what it is that you're doing, it's okay to make a mistake. It's okay that something doesn't go as planned. And actually, most things don't go as planned, especially in the entrepreneur world. If you think you have a 100% foolproof blueprint on something, you're probably wrong, because no plan goes 100% as planned, and stuff always decides to pop up. But if you can set yourself up knowing that could happen, it's a lot easier to go through. Now, when you think about, not being fearful, and my son, giving the example, he's just pressing buttons, he's sliding stuff around, and he's hitting all this stuff. And he ended up learning, how to utilize more parts of an iPad than I even know how to utilize. And I'm 33 years old. And it boggles my mind to say, hey, don't be afraid to mess around with things. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to click that button or get into this program or to do this or to do this, because guess what? Even if something does, kind of go left or go right, it's a good learning experience, right? It's always going to be a good learning experience for you. Now, as they start, getting a little bit older, one of the things, it's kind of crazy because they're running like crazy right now. It wasn't long ago where they were, barely even able to walk without, trying to fall down. And now they're running all over the place like crazy. They're throwing things, they're climbing on stuff, right? Well, we were at the park and they have, it's like these monkey bars that kind of swirl around, but then they go into an L shape up to a platform. So you can kind of like climb on top of them or climb on the bottom, and you're on top, and then it twists you around so that they're hanging kind of on the bottom. And I remember, my daughters, they, if one does it, the other one's got to do it too. Like it's just like they follow each other. They do exactly what each other, the other one is doing at all times. And they started climbing on these monkey bars, and I'm over here. I'm kind of nervous. I'm like, man, if they fall down, I'm thinking, don't fall down. I got to, they're climbing up on this thing. And then they flip back around on the bottom of the monkey bars, and then they start hanging there. And I'm thinking they're falling. They start laughing. And then they hop down, and then they do it again, right? They do it again. And in the beginning, they kind of started going slow, and they hang there for a minute, and then they jump down, and then they do it again. And it gets faster, and it gets faster, and it gets faster. And it's almost like, if you've ever, like in the Marine Corps, you're scared of heights, or you're jumping off of a platform or something like that, or you're climbing a rope and you get to the top and you smack the top of the wood and you climb all the way back down. You're like, man, that was awesome. Let's do it again. So the more you put yourself into an uncomfortable situation that you may not be used to, or that something could happen, the more likely you are to grow forward and become more confident with your abilities. And this goes for all areas of your business. if you're afraid to, maybe show up on a video, or if you're afraid of what somebody else is going to think because of what you say, just do it anyways. Just keep reaching no matter what. Put yourself out there. Show up on that video once. I guarantee you it's not going to be as bad as you think. Say what you want to say. Remember, if you don't stand up for what you think is right and what your voice is, nobody else is going to do it for you anyways. So be the one that stands up and does it. And every time that you do it, the more that you do it, the more confident, the more comfortable you're going to get, and the more you're stepping outside of your comfort zone, that's going to make you push yourself forward, and the more growth you're going to have. Now, it's kind of crazy because when I think about when I first started consulting, one of the hardest things for me was, walking into places, nobody knew who I was. And I was basically trying to pitch, my services and see if there was a way that, they could benefit from it. And it was nerve-wracking at first. It was hard. And I remember, getting turned down by a lot of places, and they're like, nah, not interested. We're good to go. And it was kind of gut-wrenching at first. And then I realized, you know what? Every time I heard a no, I got a little more used to it. I also realized that as they were saying no, they were saying what they had, right? So as they were saying no, they were saying what they had. So as I kept going and connecting and trying to connect with people, what I realized is I got more confident at the approach, and also what I was saying based off of what I knew was a common factor off of what all of these people were saying that they were okay on, right? So I started saying I can help them, with X, Y, and Z. All they got to do is, give me a shot. And I got turned down a lot. Now, initially it was uncomfortable and it was fearful for me to even walk up and, try to spark a conversation. But the more I did it, the more confident and the more comfortable I became, and the better I learned how to communicate what I wanted and how I could help somebody by doing it in person, door to door like that. Now, after you start doing it and you start getting yourself and putting yourself into those uncomfortable positions, I don't care if you've never rode on a roller coaster before, I guarantee you might be a little bit nervous. You might be a little bit kind of scared at first, but the moment you get done, you might be screaming the whole time going down that roller coaster. You get to you're going down the steep thing and you're just screaming, and all of a sudden you get done and they're like, all right, let's get out. You're like, let's do it again. Right? Because you stepped into your power. You stepped into that place that's uncomfortable and it feels good. You feel yourself literally moving forward towards things that are going to push you in life and in your business. So if there's something that you've been wanting to do, if there's something that you know that you can do in your business, I'm encouraging you to step outside of that and just go and do it and just show up and put yourself in that space. And what's the worst thing that can happen? I want you to ask yourself that question. What is the worst thing that can happen to you by showing up or by doing that thing that makes you uncomfortable? Because let me tell you this, you've already survived all of the worst days of your life up until this point, and you're still here and you're still moving. What's the worst thing that can happen? You can survive this too. And I believe in you and I know you can. You just have to just keep reaching. So put yourself outside that comfort zone. If there's something that you've been always wanting to do, go and do it. Go and show up, right? Make it happen. Don't be afraid. Don't think about it and say, well, this could happen. We already know there's a lot of things that could happen. Know that they can improvise, adapt, and overcome when things, go left or go right. That's the whole part of the process. Nobody ever has the perfect plan. They have a plan, but it's never going to be the perfect plan. Nobody is perfect, and you don't have to try to be. If you try to be perfect, if you try to overanalyze every single situation and every single thing that you're trying to do, it's going to hold you back. It's going to set you back further than move you forward. And the thing is when you think about perfection is literally an insecurity, your own insecurity. So don't allow your own insecurity to hold you back by trying to be perfect and have everything all in place before you try to move forward with something. Speed is always going to win. Speed will always win when you're trying to move forward. Make sure that you're moving forward, you're doing it fast and you're going hard and you're always leading from the heart no matter what. And the more that you give, the more that you're going to receive. So speed, lead from the heart, and give as much as you can. And I guarantee you, that's a secret to your success.